Have you ever wondered which is more powerful? Is it having $1 million in the bank or having the mindset of a millionaire? Most of us are so used to chasing the money, chasing the numbers, thinking that that's where our focus needs to be. We work more and more, harder and harder. We put in more and more hours. And it's incredibly frustrating when you're doing everything that you possibly can, but you just aren't getting the results that you want. Now, I know all too well how it feels to be in that place because I've been in that negative place far too many times in my life. And I was there until I learned this secret, this breakthrough that I'm going to share with all of you today. This breakthrough changed everything for me. It helped me shift my mindset, become a new person, and I learned how to stop chasing and start attracting. So this video is for you if you're in the same situation. You're working harder and harder, putting in more and more hours, but you're just not getting the results that you want. It could very well be that you're making the same mistake that I was. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to correct it. And I hope that this mindset shift will pay countless dividends in your life, just as it already has and continues to do in mine. So when I started this business a few years ago, I had some very clear financial goals that I wanted to reach. And when I put these numbers together as far as what I hope to earn every month or every year, it felt like the ultimate symbol of success. Because so much of what we do as content creators is sort of subjective. You can have different styles, different kinds of content, different thumbnails, different titles. But getting a certain amount of income every year is a very objective thing. So I worked very hard, I strategized, and I stayed focused. But deep down, it was like no matter how hard I worked, certain things just were not clicking. And no matter how much progress I made, I always felt like I was falling short. And especially with regards to my financial goals, no matter how much I poured myself into my work, no matter how many hours I spent, late nights, weekends working, I just was not even getting close to achieving my financial goals. And I kept asking myself, like, why is this not working? Why does it feel like no matter what I do, it's not enough? And this is a really common thing. Maybe it's in your business, maybe it's in another aspect of your life. But I had so many challenges when I started my business. And it just felt like things weren't flowing. And no matter how much work I put in, no matter how many late nights or hours I spent working, I just couldn't make money. I just could not get things to work. So one thing that I've experienced is that having my own business has been one of the most powerful spiritual experiences that I've had, because being an entrepreneur has really forced me to deal with a lot of limiting beliefs that I've had since I was a child. And so as I did some work on myself and I really tried to figure out why things weren't working, I had this realization that completely changed my perspective, and I'm going to share it with you now. Here it is. The problem was not out there. The problem was not a physical one. It wasn't that I wasn't working hard. It wasn't that I didn't have goals. It wasn't that what I was doing would never be successful. It was that I was focused on what I didn't have. I was focused on lack. I was focused on what I didn't have and how far I still had to go. So my entire focus was on lack and on the limiting beliefs within myself. And that mindset, that negative limiting mindset, was keeping me stuck. So I realized I was trying to solve this inner problem with an external solution. I wanted to become a millionaire. I wanted to have all this money coming in with my business, but secretly and subconsciously, I was actually sabotaging myself because of the limiting beliefs that I held. Isn't that crazy? But stay with me because I'm going to break this down more in this video so you can understand exactly what I'm saying. So as I did this work on myself and I tried to figure out what exactly was holding me back from success, that's when I came across this concept of like a millionaire mindset or a mindset shift. It's not just about the money. It's about shifting your inner mindset from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust. So instead of focusing on what I didn't have, I started to think about what I wanted and what I wanted to accomplish, and then act and feel as if I already had it. And this shift that I did, and I'm still in the process of doing, it wasn't about pretending or faking it. It was about genuinely embodying the mindset of someone who trusts that their business is successful, they have the right support, they know that they're enough, essentially. So I stopped giving my energy away to that fear and lack, and instead I stepped into this new, more confident version of myself. And it was like flipping a switch. It's a simple concept, but it has these profound implications in your life. So once I made that shift, that no, I'm not going to be that old version of myself anymore. I'm stepping into this new version. I'm an empowered entrepreneur. I'm making more money than I know what to do with. Now, that wasn't true at the time, but still, you have to learn to embody that new mindset and become that person. Because this is where the real magic happens. It's crazy, but my breakthrough came from when I realized the difference, and this is really important, the difference between having $1 million and having the mindset of a person who can make $1 million. Do you see the difference? Like that, really think about that and sort of meditate on it, because there's a huge difference in the mindsets of those two people. You can have $1 million, but if you still have the old limiting beliefs and mindset of someone without money, I mean, so many people win the lottery and they just don't know how to manage their money. They squander it all, they lose it all. So it's the difference between simply having a certain amount in your bank account and having the mindset of someone who is like, yeah, I can earn $1 million. Like, it's a totally different way of approaching the world. And so the goal is you want to embody that version of yourself completely and fully, who already has the $1 million, who already has the things in life that you want. Because the number in your bank account, as enticing as that might be, it's nothing in comparison to this internal shift that transforms how you think, feel, and act. And once you feel this shift within yourself, your entire approach to life begins to change. So now let me share a few things that happened in my life that were really crazy. Because again, I'd been working on my business for a long time and was just not seeing the success, especially the financial success that I wanted. And once I decided that, no, I'm going to operate from this new empowered mindset, I encountered a lot of resistance. And you have to remember, anytime we're trying to change who we are, it might take some effort mentally to shift into that new person, but the universe is going to test you a little bit. It's going to push back on you a little bit, because the universe likes equilibrium. And you've been in that old place of equilibrium for so long that there are going to be some growing pains as you level up, so to speak. But what I found is that when I started thinking from that mindset of a person who already has $1 million, who is already successful, one thing that happened was I started contracting more things out. And it's funny, but I always had a reluctance to contract out some of the basic operations of my business. Some of the accounting and tax stuff, some of the editing. I preferred to do it all myself. One, because I wanted it done in a certain way. And two, because I thought, well, I don't really have the money for that. So it's really funny. See how that limiting belief of, oh, I don't have enough money, it sort of crept into my business where I wasn't spending money contracting professionals because I felt like, oh, I don't really have money for that. I'm too poor for that. I can't afford that. So I was limiting myself simply by having that old limiting mindset. Now, here's the reality. Find me one entrepreneur who is really successful, who doesn't have an accountant, who doesn't have a tax person, who doesn't have an editor or an assistant. Like, this stuff becomes so crucial. It's necessary if you want to grow. But because I had that old limiting mindset, I was essentially like holding myself back, and I wasn't realizing it. So long story short, what I found is that the more I operated from this new version of myself, I viewed things in a much different light. And my mind, once I sort of broke the restraints, my mind could operate more freely and be more creative and think about different options that before I subconsciously withheld from myself because they didn't fit the old version of myself. It's really interesting. It's a little crazy, but it's really interesting. So now I want to share a few very practical tips that help me make this mindset shift. So first of all, you want to embody the identity of the person you want to become. So in my case, that was, a very successful entrepreneur. And you want to ask yourself, how would that version of yourself think, feel, and act in this moment? So in my case, as a successful entrepreneur with money coming in, I'm not too concerned about paying for professional work from really high, really qualified, good people, like an accountant, a tax person, an editor, an assistant. That's just part of what I do. But in the past, I felt like, I can't afford that because I'm just this small, humble creator. That's not my world. So you want to embody that new version of yourself and ask yourself, like, how would they react in this situation? Maybe something stressful at work. And would they trust in their ability to overcome that challenge? And when you start embodying that version of yourself and showing up in that way, it totally changes the situation and how you approach it. Another thing that's very helpful is you want to shift your focus from lack to gratitude. I actually didn't realize how often I was focusing on lack and what I didn't have in my business. Despite so many things going really well, my YouTube channel growing, getting better with content creation, all these different things, I was so focused on this little aspect of financial numbers that I wasn't really grateful for all the things that were going really well. So gratitude shifts your energy from scarcity to abundance, and it can be a small change, but a very powerful one. And then finally, this is so important, you have to feel as though you already have what you desire right now. So instead of obsessing over when and how the money would come, like in my situation, I just learned to trust the process, to be indifferent to having the money or not. And it sounds counterintuitive, but it works. You have to stop needing the physical reality to change in order to be happy. You have to make a conscious decision right now in this moment that you're going to be happy, that you already have those things mentally, emotionally, and that you're full and complete as you are. So I wanted to share this breakthrough with all of you because this is something that happened to me quite recently. And it's been incredibly powerful. There was like a fork in the road where before I was operating from this old version of myself who felt small and maybe not good enough and with a lot of limiting beliefs. And I've made that decision, no, I'm going to operate from this new empowered version of myself. And it's crazy how just a short amount of time later, like how my reality has changed. So the truth is that real wealth isn't just a number. It's really in who you become along the way and the knowledge and wisdom that you gain as well. And when you make this inner shift, the external results will then naturally follow. And another thing I'll add here is that even if you're taking what feels like a detour, it's not actually a detour. It's a stepping stone to get you to your ultimate destination. This has been another thing. I think I'll do a separate video on this because it's really key. But a lot of times we know what we want and we're not getting it. But it's just that we have to take a certain path and the universe is guiding us because we have to maybe learn certain lessons or let go of certain things before we're ready to become that new version of ourselves or to have those things that we desire. So anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful. This has been a huge paradigm shift in my journey as an entrepreneur and just as a person. And if this resonated with you, please share in the comments, what mindset shift are you working on? And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications for more insights like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.